All right, everybody, welcome back to the Coach Holcomb Show, brought to you by Kia of Rainbow City and Gadsden. Coach, last time we talked to you was after the Gunnersville game. Since then, the offense has just been going ballistic. You beat Hopes Bluff 42-7, 45-7 against Lincoln. Talk about those two games.
Yeah, I mean, I think that both of those two games kind of started up front for us. You know, our offensive line. I mean, that's where the bulk of everything starts offensively, especially for us. You know, we kind of got some guys going. We did some stuff against Hopes Bluff where, you know, we had Mason back there in the backfield. We had Cody back there in the backfield, and trying to get those two guys open. You know, trying to get those two guys the ball in space. I mean, you know, as well as I do, it's not really about plays. It's about players. You know. So we felt like we needed to get those two guys going, because when we get those two guys open, it's going to open up, you know, everything for the other guys. Like, it's going to open up Gage some to throw game. It's going to open up our receivers. Like, we got a great group of receivers, you know. But we felt like if we could get the run game going early, you know, it'll open up, you know, other stuff for us down the road.
Absolutely. We don't make picks, but, you know, there was a few media outlets that did not foresee the Lincoln game. Is that something that you like to feed off of? Is that underdog role?
I don't think it was that. I thought, to be honest with you, I mean, you look at that Lincoln team, like, was coming in, like, they'd beat two opponents 89-10. Like, it's, you know, they're a good football team. Like, and you think about, like, how we performed against Gunnersville, and you know, I don't necessarily blame people for picking against us. You know, like, we got stuff to prove. You know, I think we kind of lean into. I mean, obviously, like, we lean into, like, kind of Southside versus everybody. So I think that fit our narrative for the year. You know, so, but, like, as a motivation deal, like, I mean, I think our kids were trying to win the game, whether they picked us to win or picked us to lose. You know, I think they had prepared well enough. And I had a weird feeling. I told Miss Tucker, she asked me on Friday, she said, "Hey, how do you feel about it?" And, like, I guess it was like third period. And I told her, I was like, you know, this is for the last couple of days, I felt like that we're finally going to be the team we talk about being. You know, and I think that was just kind of one of those, the way that our kids, on how our kids have started to prepare themselves, and how our kids have started to take practice. And, you know, they're still kids, man. Like, they're still not as consistent as we want them to be. But, I mean, I remember how I was in high school. Like, you know, there's still days when I'm not as consistent as I want to be, you know.
You've talked about effort not ever being a problem with this group. Yeah. It was just a matter of other things coming together, but the effort's always been there.
Absolutely.
And I think we're starting to see that happening now.
Yeah, I'll say this, like, one of the most like impressive and, like, I guess probably proud moments from last Friday was, it was 45-7. And, I mean, look, they got a couple guys where, like, if they get loose, like, we're gonna have a hard time catching them. And they turn around and hand it off to 7, and we could have kind of took our foot off the gas and not played as hard to finish the game out. And Coach T looked at me and he was like, "Hey, we are swarming." And, like, our defense was on the field, and, like, we were still playing hard, like, up 45-7. Like, because I think one, because our kids respected the guys that Lincoln had. Like, they respected their ability. If they got loose, they were going to get loose, you know. And they don't want to give up points. Like, they're a stingy bunch, like, as well as the offense has played in the last couple games. And we feel like we've played pretty good. I mean, against Hopes Bluff, I think we averaged 8.8 yards a play, and against Lincoln, we averaged 9.4 yards a play. And which is good. I mean, we'll take it, like, a first down a play. Like, we'll take it. Mm-hmm. You know, but as well as I feel like we played on offense, like, our defense has given up, you know, like, in 3 ball games, our defense has given up 7 points in the second half. Like, That's pretty crazy. I mean, and that came off of one big play against Hope's Bluff, like the first play of the second half. Like, we haven't given up a fourth quarter score yet, which is one thing that we look for. We want a fourth quarter shutout. Like, that's something that we talk about as our plan to win. And we've got that every single game. Just really proud of those guys. Really proud of all of our guys finding a way to bounce back. And even in the first one, even in the loss against Gunnersville, I knew like we there were some things on tape that was promising. Especially in the second half, that you look at it and you're like, guys are still playing hard, they're still fighting. Like, same thing that has happened the last 2 weeks. And I think that maybe we're trying to finally become the team that we want to be.
Most defenses have them. Who, and you don't have to tell me, but you can if you want to.
Yeah.
Who's one of the defensive guys that you have to calm down because he comes off a little bit too aggressive, and I think I know who it is.
Yeah, I think we got a few. I think we got two guys that are. And sometimes, like, at one point in time last week, like, they kind of got into it with each other. Like, Titan and Gerard are the two guys that are both like.
Titan was one of them.
Yeah, like Titan and Gerard are both guys that, they're loud, they're vocal, they're leaders. Like, but the great part about our guys and the guys on defense, and I've made reference to this like in team meetings and stuff before. I feel like we got 11 guys on that side of the ball that aren't afraid to be a leader at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think Titan and Gerard are the two most vocal guys on that side of the ball when it comes to holding people accountable, and probably because when you look at it, Titan, Gerard, and Smiley are the three guys, and Cole, for that matter, like, are the three guys that really four guys that played the most last year.
Mm-hmm.
And so they know their job, as good as anybody. They take pride in what they do. They take pride in their work. They take pride in how they prepare, and they take pride in how the defense as a whole prepares and then performs on Friday. But those two guys, sometimes we kind of gotta. I don't say a whole lot very often,
because you want your defensive guys.
Yeah, like I want them to hold guys accountable. Like, we talk all the time, to our kids about, look, if somebody's not playing their standard, like, hold them accountable. Like, you can't be afraid to confront somebody, and like, those guys are not afraid to confront anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I don't want to turn them down. But at the same time, like, there's occasionally where we get close to that line, so you can be like, hey, that's enough.
You have to know right where that line is.
Exactly.
It's a very thin line.
Exactly, especially for defensive guys.
We were talking before I started recording, but Mason Teague has come in and just really stepped into the program, stepped into his role, not only in rushing, but also pass protection.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk about having a running back that's willing to do that.
Well, I think that's an undervalued piece of what a running back is. Like, obviously, like, everybody can see what he does when he's got the ball in his hands. I mean, and I think he'll be the first one to tell you, like, he's able to do that because of the guys he's got up front. I mean, that's really. I mean, we had a good feeling that was going to be a strength of our team coming into it, and then we had a couple. Maybe we had one or two setbacks, and we wasn't sure how we were progressing. And Coach T did a good job making sure, like, he's on those guys. And they probably get held to a higher standard than anybody around here. Like, that's the part that is, nobody really knows unless you're here. Like, nobody really knows that. And he's done an awesome job getting the guys up front to believe in the system, and that in turn has helped Mason become the best version of himself. And I think when he knows that those guys are doing so much for him, in the run game, mm-hmm. that he's so invested in what we're trying to do offensively that he don't care whether he's toting it, whether Cody's toting it, whether we're throwing it to one of our wide outs. Like, he'll step in, he'll fit it. Like, he'll fit it up, whether he's going to fit it on the corner, whether he's fitting it on a nickel, or whether, like yesterday, he had to slide in and we kind of passed something off and he had to fit Gerard up in the throw game in 2-minute drill. Like,
that's a tall order.
Yeah, especially for a back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and he's one of those guys that don't care. Like, he's a gritty kid, hardworking kid, tough kid. loves the weight room. You know, kind of fits the mold of one of our guys. You know, that's kind of who we are, and you know what we pride ourselves on being, and having a guy that understands pass protection, understands the importance of pass protection, and then is willing to put his body on the line for, you know, to go in there and be really good in pass protection is pretty rare.
You hardly ever have anyone your size coming toward you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Like we were talking earlier, like I think the second clip of his highlight, like his first three, is him in pass pro.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, we think he's a guy that can be a next level back, and to be a next level back, you got to understand pass protection and be willing to do it.
Absolutely. Coach, you got Springville coming up Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
We'll try to have this video out tonight, but if not tonight. We were talking earlier, outstanding defensive coordinator.
Yep.
Talk about some of the things you expect to see from them.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Coach Clements is going to do things the right way. You know, he'll have those guys ready and prepared. We go over there last year, and honestly, we probably were lucky to slip out of there with a win. You know, last year. Going back over there this year, just kind of how the cards fell. They're going to throw a ton of different stuff at us on both sides of the ball. Feel like they got one of the best quarterbacks that we faced. He can throw it around a little bit. You know, they got a couple guys that are dynamic at receiver. Defensively, they're gonna give us a ton of different looks. They're gonna stunt their defensive front. They'll twist them. They'll bring pressure from everywhere. They're gonna play a couple different coverages on us in the back end. And we'll have our hands full. There's no doubt about it. For us, it's about, you know, I talk to our guys, like, we're going to get some different looks this week. We know we're going to get some different looks, which I feel like we're prepared to do because our defense gives us tons of different looks throughout the week. You know, we've seen even, we've seen over, we've seen under, we've seen bear, we've seen grizzly, we've seen, you know, 404, we've seen stack. I think our guys have seen it all. You know, and what I tried to get across to them yesterday was, you know, when we get out there, and if it's a look that we're getting that we hadn't seen, don't panic. Like we've had to make adjustments in the past, and if we have to make adjustments, we will. Like, we have a plan for what we feel like is any front they can give to us. You know, our biggest thing is don't panic. Let's execute our stuff. Let's do what we do, and let's keep finding ways to move the football. You know, we don't have to have a 75-yard play, an 80-yard play. You know, our thing is, like, we want to create explosives, and for us, an explosive is a 20-plus yard play. We had, you know, 7 explosive plays last week, and we feel like that if we can create, you know, 1 explosive play a quarter, then we're going to be successful on offense. You know, our goal is to have 4, you know, 20-plus yard plays, and that kind of gets us going, gets you in a rhythm a little bit each quarter. And last week we were able to have 7, you know, and so. Sometimes in the run game, you just got to kind of keep hanging on there. If I didn't learn anything from Curve in Georgia, like, you know, it don't always happen early. Like, you got to keep trusting the run game that eventually it's going to pop. And we feel like that our backs, our offensive line, and then, you know, in combination with our offensive line, our tight end and fullback's pretty good too. We got a couple guys in Bennett Reeves and Cole Chastain who stepped in, and, like, they're down in there with the offensive linemen, like, you know, they don't get enough love either, you know, and so they do a ton of stuff for us, whether it's in the throw game or in the run game. And they were huge last week, and I suspect they'll probably be big for us the rest of the season.
Not a lot of people know their names, but
that's exactly right.
Yeah, that's a good thing, because if you know the offensive lineman's name, usually it's a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Coach, good luck to you this week. Stay safe, especially Friday with storms coming in, and good luck to you on Thursday night. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.